Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online video. Sorry about having to clear my throat, guys. I didn't mean to. But let's go ahead and get into this video topic, and that is a Dev Notes update video. We are going to be talking about the Update 25 kind of preliminary stuff that the dev Brian Wheeler, the lead combat designer, not just PvP designer, but combat designer, has to say about some of their changes they're making, and we're just going to kind of go over that and give our thoughts and let you guys hear that. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello all, we'd like to take some time to go over our goals for the next update coming with the ESO and some of the more noteworthy changes you'll see. For Update 25, the combat team primary focus has been on performance improvements, particularly related to block and item set proc conditions. While making these adjustments, we were also bringing item sets affected into combat standards. As a reminder, the term standards means we are simply using consistent formulas that determine how much an ability should cost and how effective it should be based on various factors, such as being an area of effect, having an overtime effect, complexity of execution, etc. The process will continue in future updates for item sets. So my guess is they're not going to touch every item set, but they're going to touch the main, what I call the main protagonist sets. Let's go ahead and continue on. Block is an ability everyone can use at any time, which means it can create a lot of traffic for the server to handle. In our continued efforts to improve performance, we are adjusting how the ability works under the hood. You will still be able to do everything you used to with block, but what you'll notice is animations will blend a bit differently out of a block cancel, but the effectiveness of an ability will remain and function the same. The ability will still fire when block canceled, but you won't have any dead time before the global cooldown, combat cooldown effect ends or whatever. This should also get rid of a few health desync issues when getting killing blows with abilities that have been triggered after a block cancel by refactoring block much the same way we did with the sprint in a previous update. We expect the usage of the ability to be more performant. Okay, so they're going to increase the effectiveness of block, it sounds like, and block canceling. So blocking now will cost less, I guess. I don't know if they're going to follow the sprint functionality. Sprint basically went down in cost, and block canceling is something that probably 99% of the player base uses but doesn't realize. The high-end players, the meta players if you will still use block canceling as a big way to improve their DPS rotations, but it's such a small factor. We're talking like, for somebody like me who plays at an average player level versus somebody who plays at a highly skilled level, the difference is roughly going to be about 5k difference with an animation cancel or even a block cancel rotation versus none of that. So if they can fix this, they should be able to fix the animation cancel thing. If they can fix the block canceling, they should be able to fix animation canceling. They're because it's one and the same almost, because you're still using an animation to cancel out an animation. You're either using blocking, dodge rolling, or something to animation cancel, or even another ability. So if they can do that, they should be able to fix animation canceling in a way that improves its usage, but doesn't make it like impossible for anyone to activate. But a lot of people still don't even realize they're even animation canceling. So good thing. We'll have to see what it's like on PTS. Now, I do want to say this about this. With these changes coming or being announced now, and then the 16th, which I'm going to pull up my calendar here, the 16th is the release of the information for Dark Heart of Skyrim. My guess is that they're going to announce this week what's coming. It's going to be, the first DLC will be on PTS this next week, because it's putting them in a perfect time frame to get all this stuff out, like information out, so that this way it prepares the PTS player base for the release of this stuff. Do I think that that's how it's going to be? don't know, to be honest, because like last year they released the DLC in February, so it wouldn't be surprising if they didn't do it now, so that way they can get the first DLC out. And I think that the Dark Heart of Skyrim is the year-long storyline. I don't think it's Dark Heart of Skyrim is the next expansion. I think the next expansion will be a Skyrim expansion, but I think that the whole storyline will involve the Dark Heart of Skyrim and what pertains to it. Just like they did this last year with Season of the Dragons, and how they started out with the Dungeon DLC, where we get introduced to the characters we're going to be involved with throughout that storyline, at least the primary characters, until you get to the final DLC, where you get introduced to the main character you're going to be involved with for the remainder, and how every character intertwines in the story, and that final story plays out. This last DLC, Dragonhold, was by far one of my favorite DLCs they've done, because one, it wasn't one that pertained to true in-game, but instead it incorporated a new in-game story experience that we've never seen done before. And that in-game story was fantastic in how they presented it, how they set it forward, everything. So I really hope that this year's like this last year. Next up, it says, next we are focusing on bug fixes and conditional logic. Many abilities and item sets have to step through several requirements to fire their effect beyond the standard line of sight, cost, range, etc. For these changes, the conditions for procs will now work more reliably with their standard requirements. For example, Scathing Mage will no longer erroneously whatever trigger from the first tick of any damage over time, and reflective scales will no longer work versus channeled effects such as Radiant Destruction. While making these fixes, many of the item sets affected have also been updated to fall in line with our item set or ability standards to ensure their overall power remains closer to the intended design. So something that I always bring up to people and try to explain, like, the intended design of ESO has always been to play how you want. But then you have, and that's from the dev standpoint. The devs are the ones who create the game to have this play how you want structure, but it's the community that creates the meta standard. And that's because people will always find a path of least resistance, or a most effective path to win and be the best. And this happens in every game out there. Doesn't matter what it is anymore. There is a meta to every game, including games like Call of Duty, Albion Online, even Conan Exiles has a meta to a play standard that is the most effective way to play. But what a lot of people don't understand is, in order to make a meta, you have to break down every number in the game pretty much, starting with the most weakest stuff all the way to the most powerful stuff, so you can find what most effectively works. Well, when you take a game like ESO, where item sets play a lot into your character, I mean, we can take, for example, the set that comes from Somerset, from the Trials of Somerset, the three sets, four sets, 2 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy set from there, and put it in comparison with every other set in the game, and you'll see that the Stamina set and the Magicka set for DPS are above, like way above, any other set in the game when it comes to their effectiveness in DPS. But all the stuff that a lot of people don't understand is all the sets in the game are roughly on an equivalent power design. So what that means is, if you look at stat comparisons, so take Hunding's Rage and Night Mother's Gaze, they're basically identical sets in their design, but their functionality works differently. One gives you 299 extra weapon damage plus stamina, and then 2 weapon crit. Well, the other one gives you 2 weapon crit, weapon damage, 129 weapon damage or something like that, and then on top of that, higher penetration capabilities. So the difference is that one is more support based or group support orientated damage amplifier, while the other one is more single player damage amplifier. Because you can still get that high damage penetration through other means. You have a tank who can apply the penetration debuff. You have armors, not just armor sets, but other skills and abilities that can do these same things. But this one set can apply it to multiple targets, which a tank can't. So you have a lot of different stuff there, and a lot of that plays into the design. So you take, for example, the summer set trial sets. Even in comparison to the Elsewhere trial sets that came out with Elsewhere, no comparison. Like, they don't even play in the same field of capabilities. Some of the sets that came out with Elsewhere now are really good. Some of the sets that came out with Dragonhold are almost, and I don't want to say almost on par with the Summer set ones, but they are really good. Scathing Mages, one of these ones that came out with the Imperial City DLC from a dungeon. Great set. Proc, like its proc capabilities, was garbage. Compared to Julianus, which has a consistent uptime of 299 extra spell damage, versus a set that has a chance to proc an extra, at the time, I think it was like 400 or 600 spell damage when it first came out. The comparisons and their DPS capabilities, Julianus smoked it. And that's because Julianus was consistent, 100% uptime. It's like the difference between Hunting's Rage and... I can never remember the set, so you guys are going to have to bear with me a quick second. Dun, dun, dun. Reliquin. I'll just do it. So Arms of Reliquin. Arms of Reliquin is a really great set if you can get it, but you have to play through a trial to get it. Now, this set increases your DPS by 5% against dungeon and trial mobs. It also gives you 2 things of crit, just like Hunting's Rage and whatchamacallit. And then on top of that, you get this 5-piece, your light and heavy attacks deal extra physical, 200 extra physical damage every second for 20 stacks. So that's 5k extra damage, and then if you get the Perfected Reliquin, you get another, I think it's extra weapon damage on top of it. So we go down here to the Perfected Reliquin, and I do want to say thank you to Alcast and Wooler for this website. It's fantastic. It runs smoother than the ESO wiki, but I do like using this just for sets. But you get that extra stamina too. So that extra 1096 stamina, that's like a 2% damage increase. Or is it 2.5? It's one of the two. It's either 2 or a 2.5% damage increase. And you gotta think, this is like equivalent to Hunting's Rage amplified. So this is an amplified version of Hunting's Rage, because not only are you getting the Minor Slayer, but you're also getting this extra 200 physical damage that increases 20 stacks, which is roughly 5 to 6k extra damage on top of your normal damage. So when you do a comparison between Reliquin, perfected or not, against Hunting's Rage, like imperfect or regular Reliquin, Arms of Reliquin, is more in line with Hunting's Rage than Perfected. And that's because Perfected gives you that 1,000 extra stamina. So you've got these 2 sets, identical sets, when it comes to Arms of Reliquin and Perfected Arms of Reliquin. But then you have all these other sets that fit into a similar design structure. I mean, there are a ton of sets that work with the same stat functionality as 2 crit, either weapon damage max stam as the 3-piece bonus, or even 5% damage against dungeon and trial mobs. to, you know, the 5th 5-piece bonus, which is what separates all these different sets, but gives you options and abilities. A lot of people don't understand. ESO has 300 plus. I think this year, when they finish out this year, we'll have almost 400 plus gear sets. Now think about this. 400 plus gear sets, which when you look at their stat values, like for example, if you looked at these trial sets, Arms of Reliquin versus Perfected, the difference is this 1096 stamina. That is it. That is the difference. Nothing else changes. So the same exact stat values for the 2 and 3 piece, or 2 and 4 piece, and the 3-piece bonus are identical. It's the fact that it gets that extra 1096 extra stamina that sets it apart. Can anyone get this perfected set? Yeah, anyone can. Well, do you have to get the non-perfected Arms of Reliquin first? No, you can. There's 100 other sets you could use, literally, in combination with other sets, and still earn this set. And this is where I think that a lot of the things that need to be looked at, item sets is one of them. But not for the reason that they're stating here. I don't think it has to do with performance. I think it has to do with their effectiveness. Because there are some sets like Arms of Reliquin which stand out above all other sets because of how effective they are. And excuse the sound in the background, guys. That's my heater kicking on. It's literally like 2 feet down the hallway from my room. And my room's only 10 feet across. So, where I do my work. And I don't have a door to block out the sound. So, old trailer. Put it that way. So, point here though is it sounds like they're really focused on this idea of making sets fit within the standard of the game's design, but at the same time still have the effectiveness they once had, but also keeping other sets in line. So we'll have to see again how this works out. Now moving on to the final thing, it says finally we are addressing Magicka Stamina Sustain, especially in encounters where longer fights are prolonged damage in specific areas are required. With that in mind, we are reducing the cost of area of effect damage over time. AoE dots, why they say AE dots, abilities to reduce their pressure on your magic and stamina while utilizing a rotation involving AE dots. This does result in a revised standard between single target dots and AoE dots, which will be evaluating with the live game and on PTS. So, to be clear, they're not just testing this on the PTS, guys. They will be testing this when it goes live through the next 3 months until the chapter releases. So they're going to release this DLC with Update 25, and Update 25 is going to be tested on PTS to get the essential stuff out of the way and numbers fixed to release. Then they're going to test on the live servers to see how the rest of the player base, not just those who get on PTS, but it's another reason why they encourage a lot of people to get on PTS, is this way they can get more people testing the stuff. This way they can get more data and information back on who's all using what and how effective they're using it. This plays into what locations, skills, and abilities are being used. This doesn't include just dungeons or overland, but also dungeons, trials, PvP, everything. So they can see the effectiveness of skills and abilities, their use, and how much they're being used versus others. So where are they going to get most of that information? The live service. That's what they're saying here, is they're going to do this, and this, whatever they do, is going live. So don't expect any major changes from what they announced with this change to AoEs and single target. Like, a lot of that is going to go live because they want it to go live so they can get it in the hands of the player base, the majority, not the minority. So I do think that this is a good thing, but we'll have to see how much of a hit this takes on the players. What they need to do is in my opinion, is take AoEs versus single target. Single target DPS, it will always be more effective damage-wise versus AoEs. AoEs is hitting more targets for less damage, but in more area of effect. So if you put down a wall of elements, it's going to tick for X amount of damage on multiple targets, versus the single target ability that does a dot to a single target. That single target damage is going to be higher because you're effectively only affecting that one target. See, AoE is made for clearing trash or wiping out zergs or things like that. If you make AoEs as effective as dots, or single target, there's no reason to use single target versus the AoE. But if you make the AoE do a decent amount of damage in a large area of effect versus single target dots, you get a more effective gameplay experience, because now you have these AoEs that do a decent amount of damage, greater area of effect, or great area of effect, and they hurt multiple mobs to help you clear those mobs faster. Because not only are you doing single target DPS, you're doing area of effect DPS. So this is one of those things, like you have Endless Hail. Endless Hail is a great damage over time area of effect. Then you have other abilities like Wall of Elements, which is a great area of effect. Then you have some of the abilities by the Necromancer, the Warlock, or the Warden, and even the Templar that do damage over time, area of effect, that are great. And the Nightblade even has a few. Every class actually has a few. But when you take that into consideration against their single target does so much more damage. But this comes back to the standard of play created by the community, and the meta, non-meta stuff, which we're not going to get into in this video. I'm going to be doing another video on that, probably sometime this week, actually discussing the different, like, not the difference, but why the meta is good for the community, but also hurts the community. And it's not a negative thing, guys. Please remember, I don't do these videos to be a negative Nancy against the meta. I'm doing it because I'm trying to get people to understand that there's more to the game than just meta play. Because the more you focus into meta play, the less you realize that the game is more open-ended and it has a lot more options available. Because there's a lot more things that a lot of people don't understand. When it comes to tactics used in the game, some players can play at greater advantage. And here I go. I need to stop. I'll do this in that video. But let's go ahead and finish this out. It says, again, our focus on Update 25 is primarily on performance updates and bug fixes, which you'll see in more detail when we publish the patch notes. We encourage everyone to hop on the PTS when we publish Update 25 to run through the adjustments and give us feedback. See right here, this line, this tells me that our wonderful devs here are making this announcement on the 13th. The 16th, they're making the announcement for the DLC, the season of the, Dark Heart of Skyrim season. And then they're going to also discuss the new expansion, which will be coming out, or the first DLC coming out, and the expansion, and possibly give us hints to the second and third DLC, but not enough to like make us go, oh wow, that's really cool. Because they want to keep those things, for hype creation later on. So we're going to get these two announcements. And my guess is the first DLC will be on PTS the 20th, is my guess. Because if they shoot for the 27th, I already did the math on this. 3 weeks out from the 27th is going to be the 17th, which will put it out, the release of the chapter, or sorry, the release of the chapter on the 2nd of, because you got 5 weeks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it would be the 24th, sorry, that it would be actually physically released, and that goes beyond their standard release. So it will be the 20th, because then it'll release on the 17th of next month, which will put it in line with the release of last year's DLC, first DLC, the Wrathstone DLC. So I see them doing this announcement, or doing this, releasing this, so we can get prepared. Those of us who get on PTS and like live there, and I don't want to say that, that's a negative thing, but who do get on PTS and do a lot of testing and stuff, so we can be prepared for the 20th, which is next week, to get us, hyped and excited to test the stuff out. And the 16th is just going to be a big reveal of like, this is the story that we're going to tell over this next year. and this is the initial story. So we're going to get a trailer. We're going to get so we're going to get a release trailer. We're going to get a like basically Rich Lambert talking about what's coming with the Dark Heart of Skyrim and everything. They'll do a previous year thing with Matt Furrer, which will be great. But we'll see this thing where Rich will be sitting down with some chick talking about the release of the next major season. They'll talk about the first DLC dungeons. They'll talk about or whatever they might be doing. I don't know. They might change their cadence. We don't know. But they'll talk about the first DLC. They'll talk about the expansion and anything that comes with the expansion, possibly the new skill lines or class or whatever it might be. I'm shooting for a skill line because I have a feeling they're going to do a skill line this year. Next year they might, with the next year's chapter release, they might do a class. But that's just my thoughts on this, because it would be really hard for them to develop a class over a year's time, where they had 2 years to work on the Necromancer. So, and 2 years to work on the Warden and stuff like that. So it was like, yeah, let's see. But yeah, super excited for this update, mainly because we're going to get an announcement of like what's coming for this season. But I'm also kind of excited for these changes because I really want to see how much this block, the block changes affect the game. Like, are they going to improve the gameplay experience for those who tank with anything other than a sword and shield, or are they going to improve the experience for other players who use block a lot in different situations because they know that it's a staple of the game, but the effectiveness of it is actually far superior to dodge rolling in or not just dodge rolling, but just using the ability to block damage, so you can actually do other things in the meantime. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this turns out. I will be doing a lot of testing, and yes, guys, this is my official comeback to ESO content. I took some time off to do some other games and other things like that, just because I wanted to get away from the things going on in ESO at the time. So, but this is my first step back, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, you guys know what's coming next. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Also, remember to hit that notification bell if you do subscribe. That will let you know when I post new videos, and it also helps me out in growing my channel, so we'll see. But other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye!